Hello everyone, and in this video I am gonna tell you the whole story of the Winter War and how the Soviet Union struggled to defeat the small and weak country of Finland. So, before the war starts, let me tell you some context on what happened before the war had started. So, in the Soviet Union launched a massive invasion of Finland in 1939, November 30. The conflict was mainly by Soviet demands for territorial and strategic concessions, building naval bases and a westward shift of the Finnish border to protect Leningrad. When Finland refused, the Soviets staged a false flag attack to justify the invasion. The origins of the war date back to August 1939, when the Soviet Union and Nazi Germany signed the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. The treaty included a secret protocol that divided Eastern Europe into spheres of influence, which basically mean like areas they control, and placing Finland within the Soviet domain. After invading Poland in September 1939, the Soviet Union moved to secure its northern flank, pressuring Finland to trade land and lease military bases. Moscow claimed these measures were essential for the security of nearby Leningrad, now St. Petersburg. Finland rejected the ultimatums, choosing to protect its sovereignty and maintain a strict neutrality. In November 29, 1939, the Soviet diplomat Molotov, which his name covers half of the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact name, decides he had enough of the Finns' denial and famously said, "Since we civilians don't seem to make any progress, maybe we should give the soldiers a turn to speak." The Finns knew a war was underway. By this time, a man named Mannerheim, born in Finland but mostly of Swedish origin, had been a general for the Finnish army. Finland decided to ask Mannerheim on what to do, and Mannerheim said, "The Russians are not joking about their demands. The Soviet army is significantly better. The Finnish army lacks the training and equipment, but they do have a delusionally high morale." The Finnish diplomats thought he was just scared of the Russians, and after all, he was a Swede. Mannerheim would end up being correct fully except for on one thing. In November 26, 1939, the Soviets blew up a town with artillery in Russian territory and blamed it on the Finns. A couple hours later, Helsinki, the Finnish capital, was bombed, and that was it. The war had started, and Finland were in big danger. Outnumbered and outgunned, the Finnish forces mounted a legendary defense using winter camouflage and mobile guerrilla tactics, famously cutting Soviet supply lines into isolated pockets. By early January 1940, the stunning Finnish victories at Suomussalmi and the Rat Road completely stalled the Soviet advance. However, the tide turned on February 1st when the Red Army launched a massive artillery-heavy offensive that shattered the main Finnish defensive fortifications along the Mannerheim Line. The Mannerheim Line was a defensive line with fortifications around to protect the Finns from Russian forces. Running desperately low on ammunition and troops, and with no Western Allied intervention in sight, Finland was forced to the negotiating table. The fighting finally ended with a ceasefire on March 13, 1940, following the signing of the Moscow Peace Treaty. Though Finland ceded 9% of its territory, the fierce resistance ultimately preserved the nation's independence.